Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
So good to have you with us again.
Thanks, Monsignor. It's nice of you to say.
And especially today.
Yeah.
Today is the feast of St. Robert Bellarmine, our
Yes.
patronal feast.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it's a solemnity. You know, it's a memorial on the calendar, but because our church was dedicated in the name of St. Robert Bellarmine, it is a solemnity, and we began the Mass at 8 a.m., the day at 8 a.m., and we remember our patronal feast.
And one of the ways we do that liturgically is by lighting the dedication candles.
Dedication candles, the consecratory candles and everything. If you hear a sound in the background, that is, we have a grasshopper in the pantry.
That's him.
That's him.
Jiminy Cricket.
And he doesn't take direction well.
No.
But so he fits in perfectly.
Part of this staff.
We should get him a little name tag.
He'll go for virtuous training.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he is the patron saint. Now I knew this of Catechus. He wrote 2 catechisms during the early years of the reform of the Council of Trent, as well as several periodicals about defending the Catholic teaching in light of the Protestant Reformation. But we just found out right before our going live that he's also the patron saint of
Down syndrome.
People with Down syndrome. And why is that?
Because he was really kind and defended the sanctity of life, period. That was all that said in the video. There's a YouTube video that probably we're going to post later from Catholic saints. But yeah, it was because he was defending the sanctity of life.
And that all life is sacred. And
in a time where people were disregarded and discarded if there was something different about them.
And where people with special needs or in circumstances that were not considered normal would have been either shunned or put away or worse.
Yeah,
so
right.
he was a defender of that.
Yes.
And
a doctor of the church.
Doctor of the church and an inquisitor.
The Inquisition.
We're here to stay, the Inquisition.
So he grilled many, but barbecued one.
Oh, yes.
I got that line in. Because he did have a guy burned at the stake. But nobody's perfect. But besides that, he lived in poverty.
Simplicity. In fact, in one resource that I read, when he was made a cardinal and brought to Rome to be an assistant to the Holy Father, he gave away all the wall trappings and the material that would have been hung on walls to give some warmth and everything. He gave that to be used by the poor, and his comment was that the walls would not catch cold.
Yeah.
So he also had a bit of a sense of humor.
And he was a big fan of St. Francis of Assisi and tried to model his life after him. He did a lot of work for the poor and was, again, self-sacrificing for the poor and a great preacher, and brought a lot of people back to church when they had fallen away and converted a lot of people by his preaching. But he was also kind of a small in stature dude, a little Zacchaeus type. So only 5'3". I mean, that's not so short. I'm 5'4" and I'm average. So, but he needed a stool to preach.
Well, remember those pulpits back in the day were quite
tall
and large.
Yeah.
So we're very proud of our patron saint. I know a lot get upset with his, and it was quite interesting. In one of the resources I was reading, it did mention his involvement in the Inquisition and his involvement with, he was involved with admonishing Galileo and they really didn't mention the Father Bruno case, which is Father Bruno was, well, it's all according to who you talk to. Some saw him as a reformer, some saw him as kind of crazy, but he's the one who was burnt at the stake.
Oh.
And he was the last individual to suffer that fate in Rome. And but the one comment that I picked up on is, which just goes to show saints are imperfect.
Right.
And I think we need to remember that, because especially now where everybody has an opinion on who should be a saint or who shouldn't be a saint, especially in the Catholic Church, and those outside the Catholic Church who are now judging our candidates for sainthood, it's important to realize that it's not so much their goodness, but how God worked through them. And
It's the same for all of us.
And they will be men and women of their age, of their century, of their historical period, and we need to recognize that.
Yeah.
But saying that,
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize he also opposed Galileo. That's a shame.
yeah.
All right, so nobody's perfect, like we said. He'll be fine. He's the peanut gallery. All right, so a couple other things. Does today begin Rosh Hashanah, or is it tomorrow?
No, tomorrow night at sundown
Okay.
begins the Jewish New Year, so we wish to extend blessings and prayers to the wider community, especially to our Jewish brothers and sisters, as they prepare to celebrate the High Holy Days and the days of awe. And
unfortunately, I know locally a lot of our synagogues are doing it all virtually. They're not comfortable getting together yet, so this is a very challenging time for them as they celebrate their High Holy Days. So especially we should keep them in prayer, because we all know what it's like to be separated just for regular Mass. But this is a very important time of year for our Jewish brothers and sisters. So.
And there really are some excellent YouTube clips on the meaning of Rosh Hashanah and these days, and I think it might encourage our Catholics to know more about, let's say, the roots of where Christianity came from.
Absolutely. You can really only understand our faith if you have some understanding of the Jewish faith first, because Jesus and all the first Christians were Jewish.
And please, if you meet a Jewish person, don't start off the conversation by asking them, so what do you think of Jesus Christ? That's not that's not the discussion topic.
Yeah. There's also a lot of natural disasters going on in our country right now.
Mother of God,
So
pray
speaking
for
of
us.
who we need to be praying for,
Our West Coast, really, the entire West Coast, California, both south and north, Oregon, Washington State are experiencing huge fires. I believe the fires are really in 10 states out west.
oh wow.
And so they're really stretching the resources and the firefighter capabilities,
Sure, yeah.
as well as the devastation and the loss of life. They anticipate many deaths, and so our prayers need to be for our brothers and sisters out west. And at the same time, there's fires in the west, and there's flooding and rain in the south. Now, if some of that could go to the west, they might be able to put out the fires, but it's not going to do that.
It's not.
Mother Nature is in a snit.
Yeah, she's
And so, and there are deaths and devastation and destruction of property and disruption of life throughout the South.
Yeah, so we pray for them as well. And then, in the rest of the country where there's, protests and rioting and all kinds of other,
And the pandemic.
Oh yeah, the pandemic's not over.
Yeah, the pandemic. We're up to 6. I've been counting the plagues.
Oh.
We're up to 6.
We have a cricket. Is that a locust?
Had.
Had, aw. I would have taken taking him outside.
That's all right, he deserved it.
Oh.
So we've had the pandemic, okay,
Yeah.
and then we had the killer wasp,
Oh yeah, the murder
okay.
hornets. Mm-hmm.
okay, then we had the economy in the toilet, major job losses, major, painful for so many of our people. Then we had the hurricanes in the south.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the fires in the west. And what was the sixth one?
Was it our cricket?
No, it wasn't the cricket. I had 6. We're wondering if 2020 will be a remake of the 10 plagues. So we're 5 for sure, and we're looking and wondering what the next 5 will be.
Let's see. Tune
Although
in.
I have to say, one of my dear friends that I grew up with in Longbridge posted that on December 31st, a minute before midnight, everybody should have a shot of whatever their favorite liquor would be, toast the new year, and never speak about 2020 ever again.
Oh, no, I think the memes will continue for years to come. Yeah, it's been such a strange year. Okay, and speaking of the pandemic, one of the ways that we're trying to help people process what just happened and what we're still living through is a small 4-week, small faith-sharing group program that is specifically designed to process just everything that we've been going through. It comes out of the Diocese of Green Bay, and they are offering it to everybody, and so we have it here. So there are going to be some in-person sessions, some at people's homes, some here at the parish. I am willing to do a Zoom one if anybody is interested in that. I could do a daytime one or an evening one. Please check our bulletin, which is online. You can also find it on Facebook. There's a QR code pinned to the top of our page. Just put your camera on it on your phone, and it'll take you to the bulletin that has the information on it. And Judy Friedman is the one who is doing the registering for these things. So if you give her a call, we'll schedule these small Christian communities. They're going to begin the first week of October and will be done by the end of October. So if this is something you're interested in, please call Judy. And like I said, we can do Zoom, we can do in person. We're trying to make it accessible to everyone. Also, there's going to be an Alzheimer's walk on October 3rd. So you may see some signs in front of our parish, and then they're going to put up on the 3rd a little garden of plastic flowers that commemorates the different ravages of this disease. The walk is not happening here, but the people are going to come and spend some time in their little garden and then go and do their walks wherever they want. But if you're passing by, say a prayer for them. All those who suffer from that. Eileen asked me to mention that our confessions on Saturday are after the 4:30 Mass, not at 4:30. Apparently it was in our bulletin correct and then not, and now it's correct again. But for those who saw it on the bulletin as 4:30, it's actually after 4:30 in Dentisi Hall. And how's that been going with the confessions?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. We have confessions after the 4:30 Mass, and then on Tuesday from 7 to 8, and we will continue to do that. In fact, later on today, I'll be on a WebEx meeting as a group of priests, will be assisting the bishop in outlining directives for the celebration of Advent and Christmas.
Oh man, yeah.
Because folks, we're going to be with this for a while, and I think we need to recognize that. There's not going to be a big, day where you wake up and it says it's over. In fact, I was trying to figure out how that would be, and I guess, I don't know. I never lived through a pandemic before, and I'm praying I can live through it. So we need to prepare for Christmas and Advent, and it might be, and we will continue to hear confessions on Tuesday as we move towards Christmas. Because numbers in church as well as gatherings that we're used to having will be limited, and even the masses. So folks, there might be a very different Christmas schedule, so let's get used to it now. Okay, so it's not a shock. And for our Natalinis, you know who the Natalinis are? Those are our parishioners who only come at Christmas time. You might want to tell them about it so they're not shocked when they show up and they discover that, the masses are not like they've been in the past.
And the dispensation is still continuing, so people can watch, and we will be live streaming.
We will be live
People can
streaming.
watch it on TV.
And also, with that dispensation, one suggestion that I read on a listserv was maybe people who might be the most compromised, people who are afraid, might choose to come to Mass during Christmas week.
Sure.
And to make their Christmas obligation. We will
But to be clear, the obligation is not that everybody has to get to Mass
No,
physically.
No. The dispensation is still in place. In fact, I think in the new directives that the bishop has issued, the directives state that the lifting of the obligation of attending Mass on Sundays and holy days has been lifted until further notice. So we just have to take it one day at a time.
Yeah. And the last thing you want is to come out for a holiday and then, get sick and get other people sick.
Yes.
So, but also discussing the, reopening, we are slowly but surely trying to get as close to our Mass schedule, our, original Mass schedule as possible, but we may never get back to the way it was previously. But right now we have our 4:30 on Saturday, we have our 10 a.m. on Sunday, and starting September 27th, we will have an 8 a.m. on Sunday also. As of right now, the only Mass that will be live streamed for Sunday celebration, including the Saturday, which counts for Sunday, will be the 10 o'clock. We have been doing that, we will continue it. We have enough people to enough ministers to have these 3 Masses as they are now. We'll continue to bring communion out to the cars unless we decide on a different form. Well, anyway, we're talking about evolving all the time. We're trying to figure out how to serve the needs of the parish the best. But for now, that will continue. So we're going to have, starting September 27th, the 4:30 on Saturday, 8 a.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. Sunday, which is live streamed, and communion will be brought to cars. And then we have our daily Mass, weekday Mass, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. We do still need ministers. A lot of people have come forward in the last few weeks, and thank you ever so much. But we still need more Eucharistic ministers, lectors, and ushers as we continue to try to add Masses and expand our ability to welcome, greater numbers. So if anybody is interested, please contact me. You can email me or call, and I will train you and get you on the schedule.
What's quite interesting, and I was thinking about this even this morning as we were setting up, the vision of the council, the Second Vatican Council, and was that liturgy would be the work of people. That's it's the work of the faithful to worship God, and we all have a role to play. And as we move through this pandemic, although there have been some elements called for by the council that have to be pulled back, such as the cup. We do not offer the chalice anymore. And the sign of peace here at the Co-Cathedral is a nod back and forth, unless it's among family. If you've been quarantined together, hug away for all I care. But, you know, if you haven't been quarantined together, it's a nod or a wave. But to be able to celebrate the Mass, you do need the work of human hands to pull everything together. And so, and especially on the feast of St. Robert Bellarmine, who was one of the pillars of the Counter-Reformation or the Catholic Reformation in light of the Protestant revolt, it takes time for the council to, for any council to have its rules, its canons, its directives accepted, implemented, and lived. And I think we're seeing that. And for the Vatican Council.
Yeah, it's very interesting that, you know, I keep seeing us being prepared for things, you know, as new weirdness comes along. But the Vatican Council made people more flexible. It made, you know, Mass more flexible and made us understand that we need to be adapting all the time and that the liturgy is a living thing. And so here we are in this new phase of our lives, kind of adapting and, you know, changing along with the needs of the community. And, you know, really what else is the church for but to change and adapt to the needs of the community.
So that proper offering of thanks may be made to God.
Exactly.
in that environment.
Right.
And some things are done, you know, beyond us. And not that, and believe me, I don't believe that the pandemic was sent by God. But I do believe that God is in the midst of the pandemic. And that gives me hope and courage as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
That's all I got on my list, Monsignor.
That's all. Well, listen, a happy feast day.
Have some cake.
You know, or cannoli.
Or barbecue.
Or, you know, some people's sense of humor, you know. The barbecue is St. Lawrence, not.
Oh, right.
Not.
or Joan of Arc.
Or Joe.
Am I fired yet?
Again.
But all of us at St. Robert's wish you a happy feast day. God bless, and don't play with matches.